Another interesting school battle, this time developing in Alabama. A mother is battling to let her 14-year-old son back to school. The thing is, he's terminally ill. Alex Hoover has a heart condition and is autistic. His family says he is deathly afraid of doctors, and his condition is terminal. So they had a lawyer draw up an advance directive against reviving him if his heart stops, a do not resuscitate. But the school says they can't honor that DNR. They will try to resuscitate him if something happens on campus. Teachers worried about the impact on if Alex were to pass there.
You shouldn't be scared to talk about that. There comes a time where you have to make peace in your heart and do the right thing for them. I'm fighting for him to be able to have the comfort and the dignity, and for it to be okay for people to sit and hold his hand when he's gone. And I'll fight till he's gone. I'll fight with the last breath in me.
Let's bring in our Fox 35 legal analyst and attorney, Whitney Boan. Whitney, thanks for coming in. What an awful position for both parties, especially for the school district who's being asked to do something that's frankly incredibly difficult.
Yes, I mean, it's incredibly difficult. They're being put in a horrible position. And I mean, you have to keep in mind, this is a governmental agency. It's a school district for a public school. And that's a very precarious place for them to be for a lot of reasons, because you're dealing with the interplay of a mother who has the right to parents, the issues of right to life or right to death, and then liability for a public school who's got teachers and personnel who are put in a position where they don't want to be dealing with this, I'm sure. It's hard enough for them to do their jobs without having the added layer of having to worry about the liability of not resuscitating a child who may stop breathing.
Yeah, that's the final layer on the cake, too. Like you said, the fact that this is a minor. This is someone, too, who is not exactly, because of some learning challenges, aware necessarily of what's going on around him either. What's the law like in Florida if there were to be a similar situation here?
In Florida, actually, as opposed to Alabama, where in Alabama you are not permitted to have a DNR if you're under the age of 19. In Florida, in contrast, you can have a DNR order for a child. Similarly, as for adults, you have to be suffering from a terminal illness. There's a physician that has to sign off on it. If you're a child, your parent or legal guardian has to sign off on it as well. But if you are a child who's old enough, and this is kind of vaguely defined, but old enough to understand the circumstances surrounding your condition, you have to sign off on it as well as a child. So a child who's 14, arguably, depending on his learning disabilities, in Florida might be required to sign off on this in addition to their parents and their doctor. But in Alabama, there seems to be a general prohibition against having a DNR for anyone under the age of 19.
This parent or these parents seem to have the option, too, of just removing him from school. The mom said she hates to do that. He only goes 4 hours a week, and she says that's his socialization. But it seems like in order to avoid all of these problems, that might be the only option to keep her wishes intact.
I mean, my heart goes out to her. No doubt my heart goes out to her. But I have to believe that the school is making the right choice here.
It's tough. Well, our thoughts are with that family. It's some challenging times ahead. Whitney Boan, thank you for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me.